Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into an absolute aviation nightmare that ultimately became one of the most legendary stories of human survival. We're going to take you from a peaceful, totally routine cruise at 37,000 feet through a terrifyingly chaotic descent, all the way down to a microscopic root cause that literally changed modern engineering forever. Let's get into it. So how exactly do you land a massive commercial airliner when the steering wheel completely disconnects? Well, we're going to explore this terrifying question by looking at a flight that went from totally routine to a desperate fight for survival in a split second. The date was July 19th, 1989. You've got United Airlines Flight 232 flying from Denver to Chicago with 285 passengers on board. Now, heartbreakingly, this included 52 children who were flying on penny tickets because it was a promotional Children's Day. This was supposed to be a standard 2-hour hop. But as we're about to see, getting back on the ground would require aviation maneuvers that experts literally thought were impossible. Section 1. A billion-to-one catastrophe. Let's rewind to the exact moment the unimaginable happened, because the suddenness of this is just wild. One moment, it's a beautifully clear day, the flight is incredibly smooth, Captain Haynes and First Officer Bill Records are trimmed up, just enjoying a cup of coffee. And then, out of nowhere, bang. The number 2 engine, which sits high up on the tail of the DC-10, just violently rips itself apart. There were no warning bells, no flashing lights beforehand, just a deafening explosion followed by this aggressive shuddering across the entire airframe. Instantly, the plane banks hard to the right and the nose drops. Now, down in the passenger cabin, the raw terror was palpable. Denny Fitch, who was actually an off-duty United pilot and a DC-10 flight instructor, was sitting right there in the cabin. When that explosion hit, he watched his coffee spill everywhere, and worse, he saw that right wing dropping uncontrollably. You know, losing an engine is obviously bad, but an engine failure by itself doesn't make a modern plane uncontrollable. So Fitch knew instantly something was deeply, fundamentally wrong. Section 2, flying without flight controls. So why couldn't the pilots just steer the plane? Well, they had lost all their hydraulics. Think of the hydraulic system as the pressurized fluid that acts as the absolute lifeblood of the airplane. It's the physical muscle you need to move the heavy control surfaces on the wings and the tail. Without that pressure, you might as well take the pilot's steering wheel, pull it out, and toss it out the window. It does absolutely nothing. And that brings us to this incredibly crucial number, 0. See, the DC-10 is engineered with 3 separate, highly redundant hydraulic systems. If one fails, you've got 2 backups. Simple, right? But the flight engineer checked the gauges and reported that all 3 systems were completely drained, 0 pressure. The odds of losing all 3 independent systems at the exact same time were calculated at 1 billion to 1. Literally 1 billion to 1. Pilots don't even train for this scenario because engineers assumed it was physically impossible. Section 3. The improvised solution. So here they are, facing a literal death sentence. There are absolutely no procedures in the flight manual for this. Captain Haynes and his crew had to invent a completely new way to fly a dying airplane on the spot. Denny Fitch realized how dire things were, offered his help, and rushed into the cockpit. He squeezed in right between the pilots and took over the throttles for the 2 remaining wing engines. With the control columns totally useless, Fitch used asymmetrical power. Basically, he adjusted the thrust of the left and right engines independently in these tiny, agonizing 10% increments. Pushing the power up created lift to raise the nose. Pulling it back let the nose drop. Alternating them let them slowly steer left and right. They were effectively flying this massive airliner purely by revving the engines. But man, even with Fitch brilliantly working those throttles, the psychological toll in that cockpit was immense. Captain Haynes compared it to sliding on ice in a car. You know the feeling, right? Even when you know turning the steering wheel won't do a thing, human instinct just forces you to grip it anyway. The pilots were holding on to dead controls with white knuckles, forearms completely tensed up, fighting this grueling physical and mental battle as they wrestled what was basically a falling building in the sky. Section 4. The Sioux City Crash. Their original destination of O'Hare was 400 miles away. That was out of the question. They had to declare an emergency and divert to the absolute nearest available runway, which was in Sioux City, Iowa. And this descent, it is truly harrowing. For 30 minutes, they're trapped in this agonizing phugoid cycle, meaning the plane continuously wants to pitch up, stall out, and then drop a terrifying 1,000 to 1,500 feet at a time.
With 10 minutes left, they manually crank the landing gear down, just praying gravity locks it into place to add some drag. But as they get within 2 minutes of impact, they are coming in way, way too fast. I mean, they are traveling faster than a space shuttle lands, with 0 flaps to slow them down and no conventional brakes.
The honesty in Captain Haynes' announcement to the cabin right before impact is just chilling. He didn't sugarcoat the violent reality of what was coming. He knew the plane would likely be destroyed, and he needed every single person back there to brace for the absolute fight of their lives. But at the exact same time, Denny Fitch's absolute refusal to give up is such a testament to the human spirit. When they were just 100 feet from the ground, the right wing started dropping dangerously again. To try and level it out, Fitch had to push those throttles even harder, fully knowing that doing so would tragically increase their speed right before they hit the earth. The impact was, as expected, catastrophic. The right wing dug into the runway, and the plane just tumbled upside down in a massive fireball, sliding backwards into a sprawling Iowa cornfield. The violence of that crash is really beyond words. But look at this number. Miraculously, out of that horrific wreckage, 185 people survived. It's an unbelievable outcome, though of course we must respectfully remember the 111 passengers and crew members who tragically lost their lives that day.
Section 5, the missing fan disc.
To honor those who perished, investigators from the NTSB had to figure out how a single engine failure could take down a whole plane, and they found a tragic design flaw. See, while those 3 hydraulic systems were separated throughout most of the aircraft, they all converged into one super tight bottleneck in the tail, right near the elevators. So when that 400-pound engine fan disc exploded, it acted literally like a fragmentation bomb. It sent heavy shrapnel slicing directly through that exact bottleneck, severing every single line and letting the plane bleed out its hydraulic fluid in seconds. But to prove exactly why the engine exploded in the first place, they desperately needed to find that missing 32-inch fan disc, which had fallen out of the sky somewhere over Iowa. They even put out a massive $50,000 reward for it. And get this, it was finally claimed by a local farmer who accidentally hit the heavy metal disc with her combine harvester in her field. This was an astonishing 3 months later and nearly 100 kilometers away from the crash site.
When metallurgists finally got their hands on it and performed a microscopic autopsy, the truth was shocking. The titanium alloy, which is supposed to be super strong and light, actually had a microscopic impurity of nitrogen and oxygen baked into it during manufacturing. This created a tiny, localized pocket of extreme brittleness. Over 17 years of that engine starting and stopping, a microscopic crack just silently grew, inch by inch, flight after flight, until the metal finally snapped.
Section 6, a legacy of heroism. But here is the silver lining. Thanks to the grim lessons of Flight 232, the entire industry changed. Engine titanium is now melted 3 times in a vacuum to aggressively suck out any trace impurities like oxygen and nitrogen. Plus, hydraulic systems were totally redesigned. They now feature special automatic fuses, so if a line is ever severed by shrapnel again, a valve slams shut instantly. It seals the line so the plane can never bleed out all its fluid again. Every single time you step onto a commercial flight today, you are safer because of what was learned here. 45 minutes after the crash, rescuers found the cockpit severed from the fuselage, about 180 meters away deep in the cornfield. And unbelievably, all 4 pilots inside were alive. They were later awarded the Polaris Award, which is the absolute highest civilian aviation decoration for their unprecedented teamwork, communication, and selflessness. As Captain Haynes humbly put it, handing over the throttles to a total stranger like Denny Fitch required immense trust, but it was exactly that lack of ego that saved 185 lives. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final thought. We rely so heavily on flawless engineering to keep us safely suspended 37,000 feet in the air. But when those systems fail in the most unimaginable billion-to-1 ways, what really matters? Is it the machines, or is it the raw, unyielding human courage to face impossible odds, adapt, and work together? Because in the end, that's what truly defies gravity. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for watching the Flight Decoder. Subscribe for more authentic aviation investigations. Like this video, share it, and leave your thoughts.